Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I want to thank you for coming to the Cali Truck Stop Theater again. This is another video. I'm just, I got plenty of time on my hands right now to where I can just start cranking out some videos. But I wanted to read to you again today. And this is going to be quick. I promise that this will be quick because I'm not going to, I'm just going to make it a real short video. But I'm gonna title this "A Time for Everything." Okay, um, and most of you know this because you've heard this before, and so I'm going to read it to you. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm gonna read it to you. "The time for everything. For every season, or for everything, there is a season. A time for every activity under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to harvest. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build up. A time to cry and a time to laugh. A time to grieve and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones. A time to embrace and a time to turn away. A time to search and a time to quit searching. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to mend. A time to be quiet and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace." What do people really get for all their hard work? I've seen the burden that God has placed on all of us, yet God has made everything beautiful for its own time. He has planted eternity in the human heart, but even so, people cannot see the whole scope of God's work from beginning to end. So I included, so I concluded that there is nothing better than to be happy and enjoy ourselves as long as we can. And people should eat and drink and enjoy the fruits of their labor because these are gifts from God. And I know that whatever God does is final. Nothing can be added or taken away from it. God's purpose is that people should fear Him. What is happening now has happened before, and what will happen in the future has happened before as well, because God makes the same things happen over and over again. And so this is what I was saying before in some previous videos, that there is a cycle. God works in a circular pattern. He has that's where cycle comes from. Cycle comes from circle. So everything is repeated in a pattern. It's a cycle. And things that have happened, if it's happened already, if it's happening now, or things that happen in the future, it has already happened before. We've had sickness and pestilences and all this kind of stuff happen before on this earth. Some of our recent history will show that. But God does He does things in patterns. So if we sit there and observe His patterns, we can then start to figure out how He operates, and we can understand more of who He is. Okay, and this is what I was saying before, that we have to figure out the pattern. God has left His earmark on everything. It's like looking at a Picasso painting. If you know a little bit about art, or especially about what a Picasso painting looks like, you can tell by no matter what painting that you see, that you can see subtle things, or maybe there'll be outright things that are all same. They're probably most likely subtle, but if you learn to look at his style of painting, you can then be able to pick out what is his and what isn't his. And so this is exactly how God works. Now, going back to the painting, when you're looking at how he draws objects and how he draws figures and things like that, okay, there's a certain style that he uses, And it doesn't matter what painting that he has painted, there's that same blueprint, that same style that he uses to paint on canvas is always going to be present in all of his pictures. So if you learn the pattern as to uh, which he paints his pictures, you'll be able to figure out whether or not his pictures are whether the picture that you're seeing is from him or not. So just think of it. I mean, look at the earth. Everything around here has has earmarks of the Lord. Take for instance our seasons. Okay, we have 4 seasons, and like clockwork, um, they come in a circular fashion. It's a cycle. Okay, so you know that summer follows spring. Okay, you know that fall follows spring, or excuse me, you know that fall follows summer. Okay, and winter follows autumn. Okay, or fall, one of the however you use that. But you know there are patterns to God's work. You are a part of that pattern. You are part of God's work. Studying people, learning. It can be difficult for people studying the behaviors of people. Most people don't know how to study the behaviors of people. I'm not too well at doing that myself. But there's patterns. Okay, there's patterns. Everything has a pattern. Just remember that. So, what is this? What is this saying? Things are going to happen. It's happened before, and it'll continue to happen. Just just keep your faith and your hope in God through Jesus, and He will see you through whatever it is. Okay? Just like this, just like this says here, eat, drink, enjoy the fruits of your labor. Don't be so stuck up and bent out of shape because you're at a job that you don't like. Learn to make it a better, learn to make it a better job. Okay? I'm not saying that you're gonna, no, I'm not saying to force yourself to, well, I am saying force yourself to learn to like it, but force yourself to learn to like it enough to where you find the thing that you truly love to do. Because that's the only way that's going to get you through whatever you're going through. If you go day by day constantly speaking negative about your job or about your lifestyle or whatever, try to find something to to try and make it better, to try and make it more pleasing. Okay, until you find the thing that you truly love to do, or the lifestyle that you truly love to have, or whatever it is. But in the meantime, make the best of it. You know, go on with your day-to-day life, but try to be happy about it. You know, eat, drink, which means, you know, take in things. Try to take in things that are pleasant. You know, drink up the things are pleasant. It doesn't always have to mean. It doesn't mean that you get that you. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have, rich or expensive foods, or you got to sit there and drink alcohol and stuff like that. Don't think of it that way. Okay, it does say eat and drink, which means have the best of the foods. You know, have your alcohol, but you got to be careful that those things can get you into those things can cause you to get into trouble. So you got to learn to have self-control with that stuff. But if you take this and you look at it beyond the physical, eating and drinking is nothing more than just, you know, um, like eating is just taking in certain things, and drinking is what you're doing is you're taking in, you're drinking, you're also, it's also a form of taking in, but you're drinking it in, and eating and drinking does certain things for the body. Okay, eating is more, helps more of, um, uh, I don't know, I don't want to, like, start running off into stuff that I'm not too familiar with, but eating and drinking, they do have certain purposes within the body. and so you just look at it as that. Um, so that's all. And it's short. Look at it. It's only it's like what, 10 minutes there? Yeah, it looks like 10 minutes. So that's about what, 3, 4, 5 times shorter than my average videos. So just think of that if you or replay this video if you don't quite understand, or if you want to hear something that you didn't hear before. So have fun. Oh, well, I guess I might as well say this. An example. I'm not too happy or too crazy about me having to sit down here and just, you know, practically I'm just sitting here waiting for my truck to come back. You know, I've already been I've already been down for officially 24 hours already, right? Excuse me. I'm going on finishing up my second day of not running. I don't particularly like that because I'm not making the kind of money that I would making. I'm not making the kind of money sitting here in this hotel room as I would be making if I was out there rolling out there on the roads. So, um, I'm trying to find. I'm finding things that that will, help me and encourage me and keep me in a positive attitude while I'm waiting to get back on the road. So, and this is one of the things that I'm doing is I'm just reading. I'm doing reading, and the byproduct of that is I decided to make some videos. So I'm doing something to keep the mind positive, because that's gonna cause me to um, it's gonna move me in a direction I don't want to say I'm gonna stumble into it, but it's gonna move me into the direction of where I want to go, and that's to be, that's to live a better life. You know, my but I mean, short term, doing this kind of stuff is to help me get through the down period of time so that I can get back on the road, so I don't go completely crazy over here. Because I mean, cabin fever, it which I'm assuming that a lot of people around the country, maybe even over the world, are experiencing this because they're being told by their leaders to not leave the house, or whatever. So to avoid things like cabin fever, you want to do something to engage your mind, that causes um, a positive uh, reaction, a positive thought. That's key. Keeping positive. But in the long range type of scenario, it's the same thing, but it's over a longer period of time. Keep yourself positive. It's going to eventually move you into the place of where you want to be. Okay? So that's it. I'm not going to make this too long, but you all have a good time.